If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
In this awesome episode of Mind Pump, look, for 40 minutes, we don't talk about fitness that much, but we have some fun conversation. After that, we get into the fitness talk, but here's what we talked about in that first 40-minute intro.
We talked a little bit about fitness.
We did, maybe.
We
started out by talking about the CBD, Cannabidiol, market explosion, and we also talked about how CBD combined with pain medication in some studies seems to be a good mix, and how I personally, there's no studies to back this up, like to combine hemp oil extract with stimulants for a smooth, even ride.
I will also do that.
Now, look, the best source of full-spectrum hemp oil extract that has all the cannabinoids, including CBD, in our opinion, is Ned. Now, you can go to helloned.com/mindpump, and you'll get 15% off your first purchase. Then we talked about how one of our good friends, old school Mind Pump listener, Rochelle, we love you, talked about the uptick in creatine kinase and rhabdo admissions at hospitals. I guess a lot more young, fit, and healthy people are measuring high levels of CK and getting rhabdo.
Pretty alarming.
We think it might have to do with the workout programs that they're doing. Maybe CrossFit has something to do with it. I don't know. Adam talks about his read, write, and row protocol over the weekend.
Fail.
And how that was a fail.
Kind of like a MAPS red row.
I talk about how I freaked out my 9-year-old daughter first thing in the morning, made us late for school. We talked about how Butcher Box now has add-ons, lamb meat. Say what? You can also do ham, and then they have the bacon explosion. That's what they called it.
Yeah, it's an explosion of bacon.
Pretty awesome. Butcher Box delivers to your door grass-fed, high-quality meats. If you're someone who cares about your health, this is the place you want to get your meat. If you go to butcherbox.com/mindpump, you'll get $20 off and 2 packs of bacon and 2 pounds of pork breakfast sausage worth your first order. That's not all. You'll also get free shipping. Then we talked about the 49er Fit Gym on Saratoga Avenue in San Jose. This is literally the best gym I've seen in the Bay Area.
It's immaculate.
And it's $49 a month, which makes no sense. Anyway, if you go to that gym, make sure you say hi to our good friend Jeremy. He is the general manager. Tell him that Sal, Adam, and Justin sold you the membership just so he knows what time it is. Then we talked about Adam's mobility squat. According to a machine, he has better mobility than Justin.
You lied, machine.
I talked about how our tax dollars are spent and how they're spent terribly. It'll irritate you. Adam talks about Dr. Obvious on Instagram and his concentric post. Apparently it was shit.
Yeah.
And then
Sounds like a fart.
We get into the fitness questions. First question was, what are some signs of overtraining? What should I look for to tell me that I'm doing too much? The next question, this person says, look, we're always practicing and preaching to do the minimum effective dose of exercise, but then we talk about how in the past we worked out for hours and doing crazy workouts. What gives? Are we being consistent, or are we just bullshitting? Find out. Next question, why are all these Instagram famous lifters posting these PRs but not being truthful about the fact that they take steroids? What is going on? Should they be honest, or should you just mind your own business?
I feel like everyone on Instagram is trustworthy.
Yeah, exactly,
That's
Justin.
crazy.
And the final question, what are the most embarrassing things we have witnessed in the gym? Adam talks about his jerk-off story. Justin has a story of his own. Yeah. And I talk about the time I embarrassed myself on the intercom into the whole gym. It was pretty crazy. Also, this month, MAPS Split, this is the bodybuilding workout. This is the one for advanced people who want to build, shape, and sculpt their body, who don't mind working out a lot in the gym, who have great recovery abilities. This program, 50% off with the current promotional code SPLIT50, SPLIT50, no space. Make sure you go to the site, mapssplit.com, MAPSSPLIT.com. Again, the code SPLIT50 for 50% off MAP Split. And if you're interested in other programs, or if you're not super advanced and you want to try some of our other MAPS programs, because we have a lot, you can check out our other programs all at mapsfitnessproducts.com.
T-shirt time!
And it's T-shirt time.
Oh, hell, Doug, you know I love this time.
Oh, yes, you do. We have a few shirts going out to iTunes and Facebook for your reviews. We have 4 for iTunes. We have Never Tanner, Jinja, Jamie Lynn M., and Trevor Guile. For Facebook, we only had 4 reviews this week, so a little bit light. We have 1 winner there, Brooke Elizabeth. All of you are winners. Send the name I just read to iTunes at mindpumpmedia.com. Send your shirt size, your shipping address, and include your Instagram handle, and we'll get that shirt right out to you.
Go to Facebook, leave us a review on the Mind Pump page. Your odds of winning a free T-shirt are quite high, as you could tell there. That was like a 1 out of 4 chance of getting a brand new Mind Pump T-shirt made out of pure gold.
So fresh. So
Cotton.
clean.
I'm just kidding, cotton. Yesterday, I was doing a little bit of research on cannabinoids because,
Is it because I sent over
Cannabinoids.
the photo from the shoe store that is hustling CBD now?
actually, yes,
Slanging it.
you did spark me to do some more research. First of all, why does everything have CBD in it all of a sudden?
Hilarious.
What was it again?
I'm
overkill everywhere.
I'm in DSW, like the designer shoe warehouse store, right? There's
Yeah.
that big, massive store that sells shoes, right?
Otherwise known as Heaven for Adam.
Well,
Continue.
kind of. Not really my spot, but we were there for Katrina was shopping for somebody. And anyways, we're in line, and I took a picture of this, 8-foot tall thing for CBD products, and it was this whole makeup and skincare line, and everything in it had CBD in it. I just thought that was really fascinating.
Yeah, it's the next. They're turning it into a bubble, and it's
CBD Gold
making
Rush.
me angry. It makes me angry not because cannabinoids are bullshit, but because they have actual clinical applications. But what they're doing is they're bastardizing it by,
Yes.
just putting it on
It's
everything.
all watered down and not quality stuff, and now people are going to not have the same experience that they should have.
Yes. So that being said, I actually was tripped out a little bit after I saw that, Adam, because there's a lot of topical products with cannabinoids, and I don't think the topical ones work because I think it's a systemic effect. So if you just rub it on your skin, it should go in your whole body at the very best. In other words, applying it to an area that hurts isn't supposed to. I mean, is that going to really work? I actually found a study that says it did.
Wow.
There was a study that showed that cannabidiol applied to the skin could help lower pain and inflammation due to arthritis. How crazy is that?
Could.
Isn't it? Yeah. No. Well,
So
well,
how deep? Like it goes pretty deep then.
I have no
I'm
idea.
assuming.
They just
Okay.
rubbed it in. I don't know.
Huh.
The other thing, that led me down a rabbit hole of just cannabinoids and how cannabinoids, in combination with popular pain medication, lowers the amount of pain medication that you need. So, in other words, they found with one study, people who take opiates for extreme pain cut their medication doses way down if they combined it with other cannabinoids, like the legal ones you find in hemp, CBD, CBC, all the other ones.
What do they
and
call
then
that? The entourage effect?
the entourage. Well, yeah, the entourage effect is when they're all together.
together.
Studies show that they work better that way rather than when they're isolated, which is great because that's how the plant presents it, right? Like Ned, for example, their hemp extract isn't CBD oil; it's full spectrum cannabinoids with terpenes, all put in there, and it's about as concentrated as I've seen. I have not seen a hemp oil as strong as theirs is, and I'm comparing it to not what the bottle says, but what I see on the lab reports.
Right.
Because the bottle says it's whatever concentration, and they're accurate. But the other companies I see, they'll say, 1,500 milligrams of cannabinoids or this much CBD or whatever, and then you ask to see the independent lab reports, and you crickets. You hear
Yeah.
crickets, like nobody
Yeah.
sends.
Hey, what do you mean? What is that?
Yeah, nothing at all. But with Ned, with their independent, with their lab reports that you can look up, you see the concentrations and how much, and they do a damn good job.
I wonder if Ned likes that or dislikes when they see the space getting saturated with these companies that are like, because I think there's a plus and minus if you're a company
Yeah,
like
like
that.
are they ruining the space or are they
Right.
bringing more eyes to it?
Right. So I wonder their feelings on that. Now, as a consumer, I see tons, and what I see right now, and it's in our space, the bodybuilding space, the fitness space it's just exploding. It seems like every competitor or fitness person that was my quote unquote bodybuilder buddy or peer is no longer pushing pre-workout. Now we're pushing CBD.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny.
Now I will say this is anecdote. I have no evidence to support this. That's clinical, but anecdotally, my own experience and the experience of people that I know who've tried this, cannabinoids mixed with stimulants, wonderful effect. Like and I'm not talking about THC, although some people will do that. No, I'm talking about the ones that are non-psychoactive. Like if you do, like what I'll do with the Ned is I'll take a dropper full of the strong bottle of 1,500 milligrams with 200 to 250 milligrams of caffeine, and it's like, I don't know, it's like laser smooth sailing focus.
You know what? And I feel like some companies are picking up on that because that is one of my go-tos. Like I love doing that in the morning because it helps to kind of keep me riding that, that cognitive benefit, caffeine gives me first thing in the morning a little bit longer. But I have found some companies with like a nitro can that have actually tried to infuse like hemp oil inside the can and then combine it all together.
It's got to be strong though. They have to have a good amount.
Exactly. And who knows the quality of the hemp oil they're putting in there.
But do you guys remember the first time I had you guys try that?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, dude.
Do you remember when it was?
Oh, when it was?
Yeah, the first time I gave you guys
when
that.
we were in Discovery.
Long time ago.
Was it Discovery or was it
Discovery Bay?
Was that where it was?
When we were all away for one of our programs.
That was like last year, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, try this.
2 years ago? Yeah.
You know what I love about you guys? You guys will take whatever I give you.
At this point,
I've built the trust now.
I've just decided to stop fighting it. Yeah. It's like Sal's gonna. He'll get me going.
Now I've built the trust where I'll hand you guys like stuff and be like, hey, take this. And be like, this is what Adam does. Well, first Adam always day one. He's like, boom. He'll take it and then he'll be like,
this isn't enough.
Yeah. What did I just take, Sal? Like, that was dishwashing pod. That was supposed to go in the dishwasher.
Whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, so did you, Adam? You said that your friend who works in
it was our friend,
medicine?
our friend Rochelle. She's
she's like an OG.
She's technically,
Is this Rochelle from 24?
No. This is Rochelle from high school. I went to high school with, and it is the first person.
Oh, Rochelle, the old.
She's the true OG of Mind Pump. She's actually
one of our first supporters.
Before Mind Pump launched and we did the episodes with Craig, she was one of the handful of people that I personally sent it over to get feedback. Just to, what did you think? But anyways, she sent me a text after she heard the episode that we did about Dana Lynn Bailey when we talked about
how she had the rhabdo.
Yes, and she goes, something interesting comes in, and she works in the medical field. So something interesting came across my desk this week. Our medical oversight committee for all of our hospital labs is implementing a critical call range for CK test. It's a critical range that has never existed before, but was being recommended due to the rise of cases where young, healthy individuals are being seen in the emergency department with extremely high levels of CK, indicative of, guess what? And then she says rhabdo. The medical director said it used to be extremely rare and usually an underlying condition presented, but they have seen it on the rise over the past 3 years with seemingly healthy young patients, and it's becoming frequent enough now to establish a critical call value.
Wow,
man!
So CK, creatine kinase, I believe is what.
Yes.
Okay. That when they measure that in your blood, there's a normal amount that you should have. Muscle damage, or actually organ damage. So damage in the body will elevate this level in your blood. So if you have a hard workout, it's going to get elevated. If you're sick, I believe that'll elevate it as well. But if it gets up to a certain point, they've identified, shit's getting dangerous, and if it goes too high for too long, you die because your organs shut down. Your kidneys can't filter it. It can cause problems with your liver, which is what happened to Dana Lynn Bailey. And this is the result of rhabdo being severe muscle damage. And this used to happen. First of all, like she said, it was rare that athletes would come in with this.
Yeah.
Because you have to really fuck yourself up to cause this to happen to yourself. The way it used to happen was through injury. Like somebody's leg gets pinned under a car or something and their muscle is crushed. Then they'll test their CK levels and they're through the roof. Or there's like kidney issues or something else that's underlying. But what she's saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, because you told me this weekend, she's saying that they're seeing more and more cases of young, healthy athletes because more and more people are just overdoing it.
So much more that they're actually meeting about it and having like what do they should call it, a call sign or what like that, or which I'm assuming is just a protocol that they all are going to have, like, hey, this is happening more frequently, so we need to be prepared for it.
Wow.
And I mean, that's just one district or a region or area of like that. I mean, all over the United States, you got to think that there's got to be a rise. If they're seeing a rise just in their area, you would assume that it's probably across the board. And this is the interesting part about how CrossFit has structured themselves to protect themselves legally, which is brilliant. If they were a privately owned company,
they would have been,
or a franchise or anything like that. But they were smart, and the way they structured all the CrossFit is an affiliate. So, and I remember this when I was in the cannabis industry. The cannabis industry did the same thing too. Like, you structure it in what were called collectives, and there's just different laws and rules that you get to play by when you do that, because basically, when you do a collective, and just like a CrossFit affiliate is doing, is you are signing up here at your own risk, and we're not claiming that what we do here is
that's not standard for all boxes.
It's not representative of the CrossFit company and brand.
Exactly. So on Glassman's approach of doing this was brilliant to protect himself. Now the drawback of that is that there is nobody who is collecting the data and helping us as the general population to say, hey, what percentage of people get started in CrossFit and end up getting hurt? Well, guess what? Those stats don't exist because nobody's
motivated to even provide that.
Right.
Well, there is no body that collects that data.
Right.
Yeah.
So it turns into a hearsay thing, and all the CrossFit organization is coached and taught these people how to combat that statement that people say, and they're it's not happening.
There's a lot to be clear. There's a lot of environments in fitness that promote pushing yourself to levels that can increase the risk of rhabdo. You could do extreme, rock climbing. You could do triathletes. You could do crazy boot camp classes. I remember when those were popular. And there's methodologies and cultures that are more that can kind of push the odds higher that people are going to overdo certain things. Like, for example, there's certain injuries that are just more common in running than there would be in swimming, for example. And so there's certain methodologies that just tend to push intensity, have a competitive environment, and the way that they program, it's going to be a little bit more likely. And so with Dana, you have a very high level. I mean, she's more fit than 99.9% of the world. She's extremely fit, extremely advanced, very muscular, been working out hard for years. She goes into that environment, combining her competitive, hardcore nature with this methodology and this environment, and you had a recipe for disaster. And so that's a lesson to learn from people, is like, if someone that fit can have this happen to her,
right,
then, be careful with yourself,
Yeah.
So anyway, it's kind of crazy, right?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
No, that is crazy to hear that, especially like I wonder if those cases are that prevalent within like a triathlete, or like that kind of an environment, or if this is something like it's new because of the weights being another factor to the program.
I think when you go into triathlon training as a new person, you automatically assume, oh, this is a triathlon, I'm competing in a sport, and you treat it a little differently.
Yeah.
Imagine if there was a triathlon class that was like, hey, this is a fitness class, get in shape, training for a triathlon. And they didn't really change much about the training for the triathlon, but they advertised it as a great way to get in shape. You would have more and more, because there's a little bit of a self-selection bias with triathlon, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think a lot of everyday average people sign up for that.
Right.
I think it's a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm really fit. I've been running a lot.
That's a good point.
I've already run a marathon. I can swim a couple miles.
Right.
I think a lot of people who are going into CrossFit aren't doing that. They're not thinking, I've been working out for a long time.
They're not pitching it that way.
Yeah, they're just like, I want to get in shape. I heard CrossFit's a great way to do it. I haven't worked out for a while. Let's go do it. And they're in that environment, that competitive environment, which can, it's got its drawbacks. It's got its pluses too, right? But It's got its drawbacks.
Right.
So anyway, Adam, what was it that you put on your story about your fail? You were talking about?
My read, write, and row.
Yeah, what is that?
So I've been getting up in the morning ever since our Hal episode. I've been consistently getting up and kind of meditating and doing my gratitude journaling and reading or listening to my audiobook and also preparing for our stuff that we do here for the day. And it's been going phenomenal, right? And so, you know, I'm building on it, doing different things. And so I decided yesterday that, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to row for 1,000 meters, read a chapter, then I'm going to journal. I'm going to row 1,000 meters, read a chapter, journal. And so this was kind of like my ideas. It's a weekend, so I have plenty of time to do it.
So one cycle, or just cycle it over and over again?
So it was good. So I've been rowing 5,000 meters, which is decent. I mean, if I row consistently straight, that takes me 22 minutes to do that.
Okay.
So that's a good distance, right? So this time, instead of just going, because it was the weekend and I had time and I wasn't in a hurry, I didn't go to work, I thought, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to row for my 5,000 meters, but I'm going to break it up in 1,000 meters, and I'm going to break it up with reading a chapter and then writing something.
That sounds like a great idea.
Right. Sounds brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Awful idea.
So what happened? Yeah, why?
Well, think about this, okay? Couple things. One, rowing with grip in your hands and getting after the rope. So my hands are like kind of shaky. You know, I don't have the prettiest handwriting as it is. So writing, like my handwriting's terrible.
Turn it into chicken scratch.
Then you add in the fact that I'm also fucking sweating. So my hands are all sweaty, and so I'm smearing the ink all over the paper. So it wasn't as good of an idea as I thought it was. I was all excited to do it, bro. I got when Katrina sees me going down the garage, you know, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I got this thing I'm going to do. You know, I'm going to read, write,
voice to text from now on.
Yeah, I'm going to read, write, and row. I think it was a clever idea, and I think my intentions were pure and good, and it worked. I still did it, but after
it does spark creativity, though.
It did. No, it was
right?
good. Like, I mean, I definitely wrote some good stuff, and I definitely had a great row. It was overall a good experience, but I kind of laughed at myself afterwards, like, because I thought my intention, like now, just the way our business, right? Because we're in social and we talk on this damn show all the time. I'm always thinking of like, oh, clever things that I can implement and teach others to do, and maybe it'll turn into something. And of course, I pick something like read, write, row. Like it'll be something that like it's catchy.
It's catchy. It's
yeah,
got the
right.
All
So
there, it's ready.
That's where my brain was going, and then I'm like, this was an epic fail.
Yeah. When I did the all day workout, mine was not sweat inducing like yours. Mine was like, 3 sets of 5 reps of squat or whatever, and then I came and I typed. I didn't use ink or anything.
Yeah,
like
that was not a good idea.
But it does spark creativity.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? Did you notice that you were getting good ideas and
I
stuff?
do like that. I did like that. And I overall, as much as I'm talking shit about myself and saying that it was a fail, it wasn't a complete fail. I mean, I got some good content out. It took me a little bit longer to decipher what I wrote, but I mean, I got some good stuff written
That's
down.
funny. The only time I've tried it after we had Paul Check and he did the painting after deadlifting, like that gave me. I was squatting and then going in and like just playing music, and I did feel like that it was cool to kind of shift to that side of your brain, then go back to the other side, and like have that contrast. I thought it was interesting. I haven't done that in a long time though.
Very few things light up the whole brain, but exercise and movement do.
Yeah.
So when you're exercising, the whole brain lights up. And then you try to focus a part of your brain by either writing or playing music or whatever. And I think it really does help foster creativity. My best writing and my best ideas always happen when I'm in the middle of a
lot of
present
writers
workout.
say that when they need inspiration, they'll go out on a walk and and some of them like smoke cigarettes and all that too. But
well, when we book when we get away, right? Every program we've ever written, we go away and we go on this trip and. The number one request that I have for Brianna when she's booking the location is like, I need a big living room. And mainly that is, one, I like the open lighting for us and just kind of gives us that vibe. But it's mainly so I could pace. Whenever we create those, I like to get up and walk. And while we're thinking and talking and having conversation, it always promotes that for me. So.
Talking about walking, this morning I freaked out my daughter. It's pretty funny. So I get a message from her mom this morning, and she's like, "Hey, don't forget to have the kids turn in their walkathon forms." So the kids, it's walkathon season, right? You got your kids do that too?
My kids, we just had to put that out to get support for that.
Yeah, so a walkathon is where you pledge X amount of dollars per lap, and then your kid goes out on this day, and then they walk however many laps, and then they come back. I did 15 laps, and you got to pay them money, and it's for the school and all that stuff. So there were 2 forms that they had to fill out. One was to get their T-shirt, so just to tell them the size of shirt. And the other one is the actual pledges for the walkathon. So I get this message from their mom, and I'm thinking, oh, they have to turn in their pledge form, right? So I wake up my daughter this morning before school. I'm like, hey, wake up, honey. She's like, oh, little eyes, like rubbing her eyes. Yeah. And I'm like, you have to turn in your walkathon form. What? I didn't even get anybody to pledge. Nobody told me. She's freaking out. And I'm like, fuck. And I told her, I said, listen, whatever. Like, it's your fault. It's your responsibility. You need to figure this out. She's freaking out. I'm not going to be able to do anything. I didn't raise any money. I haven't told anybody. Losing her mind. So I'm like, you get ready. I'm going to go take a shower. So I'm like, I go and I take a shower.
Make a post real quick. Yeah.
So I take a shower and I come out, and Jessica walks in the room and she's like, it's just for the t-shirt. They just needed the size of the shirt cell. The other part's not due until next month. So, oh, fuck. So I go,
oh, no.
My daughter's looking at me with the angry face.
Dude,
or whatever.
the best
ruined her morning.
The best was the other day when she called you drama.
Yeah, drama.
Dude.
I'm gonna call you drama queen.
She's like, you don't have to
drama.
be so dramatic. I'm like, what the fuck? Is my 9-year-old telling you that? Dang.
I mean, in her defense, you can be sometimes.
Yeah, you can be a little dramatic. That's when you call me moody. Drama's gonna be
no
you.
more drama like your mama.
Yeah.
I do get excited about things, don't I?
Yeah,
It's pretty fun.
I don't
But I mean, pissing off your 9-year-old when they're trying to get ready for school.
Oh, it's a bad move.
Is not a recipe for being on time. Let me just.
I've made that mistake.
Yeah, let me
too.
just put it to that way.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Did you guys see that Butcher Box is letting you add lamb chops?
Yeah.
So what they're doing that I didn't
bacon.
What I didn't know that they do. I was talking to Rachel the other day. We were going over all our sponsorships, and so you have the monthly or the bi-monthly or even every 3 months. You can do the schedule where they automatically ship whatever choices that you pick. What's cool is every month they also have all these add-ons where they have some sort of a special. Like they have the bacon one going on right now. I think they have a lamb. They have a rack of lamb, and they have a ham one.
Yep.
A ham one going on right
Well, it's
now.
all good for Easter, right? I like how they kind of organize this around holidays.
Yeah, and it seems like they do that every time. There's always something that kind of goes with the theme of the month or rotating through different options. So those are the three big ones this month. But what's cool is you can just a la carte it. So it's like, okay, I already have my regular shipping that comes through. Oh, but hey, Easter is this weekend coming up, so let me throw those 3 things in there, and it's a hell of a deal, dude.
Bro, I love rack of lamb is like it's like candy for me. It's the best. I don't know what I think I grew up eating lamb all the time. My dad, if he ever barbecued meat.
I was going to ask you, how do you guys cook it normally?
So
what's the Italian way to cook it?
Well, so the way my dad used to like to do lamb is they would dip it in olive oil and Italian seasoning and breadcrumbs, and then barbecue it. So it's got breadcrumbs around it, and you grill it.
Oh, that sounds
That's like the classic way that we would do it. And then you have the other traditional ways that you can season lamb or whatever. But the rack of lamb is my God, I love that. And I'll eat so much of it that I'll get sick. I swear to God. And I was a kid. I grew up with that, right? My dad would barbecue lamb probably once a week at least, and every holiday we would have lamb. And that was so I grew up eating lamb, and so my American friends, well, I'm American too, but my friends whose parents weren't off the boat or whatever, they would love steak, and they'd be like, lamb, baby.
It's all about the lamb. Yeah, I'd much rather do lamb. We always did ham for Easter, and it was like it was hit or miss. You get like a smoked ham that was real tasty sometimes, and then sometimes it was just like lunch meat.
Sal was saying he doesn't like ham. You don't like ham? I love ham.
I'm not a big fan of
potato au gratin potatoes.
I'm not a fan of ham too much. It's not. And then they put like what is that, pineapple shit all over it, and what is it?
Yeah, the pineapple's got to go.
Yeah, ham makes no sense. I'm not even a big fan of pork to be honest. I like sausage and I like bacon.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah, those are 2 big items, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the pig.
But I'm not a big pork chop. You like pork chops?
Yeah, they're okay.
How often do you eat pork besides sausage and bacon?
Yeah, pork chops would be probably the other one I would even eat, like, very often.
Yeah,
so,
no,
that'd be it.
It doesn't do it for me. You know what I mean? Anyway, best gym I've ever seen in a long time at the 49er Fit Gym.
Amazing.
Tell me that's not the best gym you've seen in a while.
It was like a Disneyland for fitness.
Shout out to our good buddy Jeremy for inviting us down to come speak to his staff. Loved hanging out down there, and holy shit. First of all, if I'm 24-hour fitness, City Sports, LA Fitness,
all of them.
I'm shitting a brick.
I am scared to death right now because aside from the gym being one of the nicest gyms any of us have ever been into, The fact that it's $49 a month fucking blows my mind.
That
doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand that.
The only thing that what makes sense to me, that's called Mark Mastroff.
Yeah.
Kind of sticking it. Yeah. I mean, that's it.
Giving them the cut.
You're talking about a $6 million plus gym.
Yeah.
That you're giving away for $49 a month.
It's insane. So let me ask you guys this: in terms of let's break it down here. First of all, the weight room, one of the best weight rooms I've ever seen.
What did it have? Eight squat racks.
8 squat racks. Platforms. You got like
sick platforms. You see that?
But
were you there when?
Yeah, it didn't make any. Well, he came back and showed me like when I dropped the weights, nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was fascinating.
Crazy.
I want that
Then
setup.
machine wise, these are my favorite machines I've ever seen. But Pekulski has great machines in his gym.
Yeah.
This gym rivals his, and Pekulski designed his for pure bodybuilders. This is like bodybuilder heaven
Right.
if you like machines.
Oh,
Yeah, so they got that, and then they also for your functional guys, they have this treadmill that you can actually like it has weights attached to
the
it, so you
farmer
can do
walk.
farmer walks with it. I was like, dude, and then it's self-propelled, which as you saw on the Instagram, I look like an idiot, like didn't realize that, but yeah, that was awesome, man. I was like, oh, I want to do this.
Yeah, and then they had all the recovery center stuff. So then they have like cryo. They had that water massage stuff. They had the Normatec pants in there. Did you see that?
Dude, they had all the high-tech shit, man. They
All
got the
that
hyper ice, like everything. Just regular funnels? No.
Cryo.
No, we're going to do this.
All the classes.
Steam, sauna.
The best.
I'm like, I wish. Could you imagine working in a gym like that when we were kids?
I might have been too distracted. You know what I mean? Everything's so nice.
Oh, it was. But anyways, it was a great because the reason why we were there was we were doing another talk for trainers. Great group.
Yeah.
Great group of people. They look like they definitely have their shit together. Had a good time talking to them. So I can see Jeremy's putting together a nice team over there. And then how about that mobility assessment machine?
Yeah,
I'm a little disappointed in our listenership that just we did a little survey, or Rachel did a survey on the Instagram stories, and fucking 76% of the people thought Justin would smoke me at that. So. You know what? Fuck all y'all that voted for him.
Oh, yeah.
Because he got lit up on that. That's why
caught
you
me
didn't
slipping.
That's why he didn't.
You caught me slipping. I've been working on my power and explosivity, and like meanwhile, Adam's doing all this slinky shit. Like getting all like sliding in there, all like, yeah, I'll just try this. 86 or something,
Dude. They said
81.
They said 84 is the highest score on that TRX thing.
So it's like this machine that you stand in front of. You do an overhead squat, and then it apparently not only assesses you, but then it shows you the areas it thinks are tight.
So
whatever.
I was impressed with it. I don't know if you guys opened the email.
Yeah,
or not.
I did. Were you like what?
Oh, so the areas that I know that I need. So it
highlighted that.
Reach, roll, lift is what it told me that I should be doing.
Really?
Which 100% is. I mean, that's if I'm where I'm lacking right now. I mean, I did the work on ankles. I did the work on my hips, and the main focus for me lately has been my thoracic mobility and my shoulder mobility. And it highlighted my shoulders were glowing. One of the mobility exercises it gives me is reach, roll, lift, and I'm like,
oh my god, that's
yeah.
brilliant.
See, it did that same for me, but I'm really like more concerned with my hips. Like what I have been driving in my external rotation of my right foot has been really like exaggerating my problem. They didn't pick up on that.
Yeah,
so
you looked.
I was like,
you guys both looked amazing on there doing that overhead squat. But I think that's
yeah. So it's like machine eye, human eye. Well, we'll see. Yeah, I want more eyes on that.
I mean, no doubt. Obviously, we know that nothing will ever replace the human eye for things like that. But I think just the fact that they have something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's powerful for somebody that's just coming in. Yeah.
I mean, that's what blew me away. It blew me away that it was even close to being right for me. I mean, I had no idea what to anticipate or what to expect from it, and what it gave me as feedback. If I were to just pick a mobility exercise or two for me to do, a reach, roll, lift is for sure that area that I need to address. So for me, I was like, wow, that was.
I couldn't imagine giving a tour of the gym or being a trainer, bring someone to this machine, stand in front of this,
game over, yeah.
like done deal.
Yeah.
Talk about building a shit ton of value, and then immediately from there, oh, this machine shows that you're tight here.
Now,
let me take you to these exercises.
I do find it very interesting that TRX calls it TRX Maps. They launched this after Maps was already launched and released.
Those motherfuckers.
And it is interesting that it's a squat assessment that then points you in the direction of what you're supposed to do as far as mobility and stretching is concerned.
Are they trying to work with us?
Dude,
Yeah,
I don't think they're trying to work with us at all.
Yeah.
I think they fucking went around us. Is what I think.
TRX
Just
is
ask
watching
TRS.
us, copying us.
Yeah.
You bastards.
Very
Anyway.
cool though. Very
No, it
cool.
was interesting.
It is. I'm actually going to go there today after work. I'm going to go work out at that club, and I plan on doing what I'm trying to do right now is I'm slowly building up my training volume to some of the highest levels. My goal is to get them to the highest levels that I've had them in a long time, because I just feel real healthy, and I seem to be building muscle and feeling pretty good. I can assimilate the food I'm eating. I weigh 205 right now. You know how heavy that is for me in a while.
Damn.
Yeah.
Beefcake.
You better watch out, Justin.
Beastie.
Yeah.
I know. I'm 220.
I'm gonna bring the cakes,
Catch up
bro.
there. You got some room.
I can get up to 220.
You guys
Hey,
start eating.
Best Instagram caption post I've seen yet was the one I saw the other day. Somebody, shout out to who it was. I wish I remember the handle or give them some love.
my God. Okay.
The cheese for plus squats equals cheesecakes for Justin. I thought that was so good.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Cheese plus
Yeah, I like
squats equals
I got a
cheesecake.
better one. This guy was DMing, and he was talking about like when we were talking about our animals and everything, and like lizards. And he's like, "What was his dad joke?" I should
Salamander.
read it. Yeah,
That I'm a salamander.
you ruined it.
Yeah, I know.
You ruined your.
you
Thanks
ruined-
for taking my
you
punchline,
ruined
Dick.
the
Man,
whole thing.
Don't be trying to out dad joke me.
Come on, man! It was way better how it was delivered.
Dude, so tax season is among
Yeah.
us. Huh?
Today,
Yeah, you know what I love about taxes?
nothing.
Not a single
yeah, I
damn
was gonna
thing.
say, there's nothing. I
There's
like.
nothing I hate more
You're
than
not going to bring me good news right now.
there's nothing I hate more than fucking working for someone else without my permission or consent. Fuck you guys. But anyway, here's some interesting stuff that the government has spent tax money on, just making you feel better. You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
These are real things that the government. These are real because they get audited, and these are things that they release. So you can actually look these up. This is not bullshit. Okay. The government spent $300,000. You ready for this?
Yep.
On 391 coffee mugs.
What?
Yeah, so $750 a pop. These coffee mugs can be plugged into aircraft and have the ability to reheat beverages while in flight, and that's pretty much it. $750 a pop. Here's another one. They spent $13.6 million. You ready for this? To hire 2 border agents.
What?
Yeah. So in November 2017, U.S. Customs and Border Protection awarded a $297 million contract to an outside company called Accenture, with the understanding that it would recruit and hire 7,500 more agents in 5 years. 10 months into the contract, we have a progress report. We've paid them $13.6 million so far, and they've only hired 2 people.
I don't like this game.
Yeah. There's a lot more. I actually posted this in my. We also did a $333,000 study that studied bars on the U.S.-Mexican border. So they wanted it to look at with increased alcohol availability due to the lower minimum legal drinking age in Mexico of 18, and an increased number of venues for an on-premise consumption of alcohol. They wanted to see, like, okay, let's study how many people are going to Mexico to drink alcohol. That was a $333,000 study. They spent another $3 million to study dance clubs. Anyways, for people
Who's overseeing this?
Yeah, one of the reasons why I hate what irritates me about this kind of stuff is, and the reason why this happens is these major companies that get these government contracts, they're buddies. They get taken
They're
care
just
of.
going to milk it.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, we need to hire an agency to hire border agents for us, and then, oh, by the way, my buddy owns this company. Here's $300 million, and then nobody cares if it actually
Get them
does
all
anything.
coffee mugs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you just reminded me of Dr. Obvious that posted a post the other day that just annoys me when I see shit like this. It was like a eccentric training versus concentric training.
Oh yeah.
And basically he was pointing out that the eccentric portion of the exercise isn't as important as what we've been told by all these trainers, that, you know, actually studies show that they're pretty much equal. You know, we've been told before that the eccentric portion of the exercise, you build the most amount of muscle, but with all things equal, it's pretty much the same. And the part that I don't like about his page, I can't stand his page, because every other study is like this, where it's like, what's your desired outcome by putting a study like this out for people? If it's a splitting hair difference, you're trying to counter probably what a lot of trainers are telling clients, like, hey, slow down, control the eccentric part of the exercise. It's the most important part of the exercise, which I'm sure I've said this out of my mouth before. And that's what irritates me, is because maybe in a laboratory, it doesn't fucking make a difference for you, or it's splitting hairs, and so therefore you want to put it out there on your fucking Instagram. Yeah. But what I think about is all the thousands of people that I've seen come in and out of a gym doing exercises, and I can count on one hand how many people I've actually seen standing in front of the mirror doing bicep curls and doing a 4-second negative. Think about that. Right now, when you guys go to the gym today, those that are listening right now, pay attention to everybody doing exercises, and just count in your head count when someone's doing a negative on any movement in the gym, and see if you see anybody even spending their 4 seconds doing that.
Yeah, nobody does.
Nobody does. No. So it's if anything, the conversation should be around that. It's a portion of the movement that is extremely important, is grossly neglected by the average person. And not to mention, this is also where people are at the greatest risk. They just drop the weight down, or they lower it down really quick, and they do this rebound effect to go back up again, and that's where injury happens a lot too.
Right. His argument is that eccentric loading does build more muscle than concentric loading, the positive, but the eccentric load has to be heavier than the concentric. But when you're lifting weights, you're lowering the same weight that you're raising, so it's not heavy enough to exert those effects and benefits. Here's why that doesn't fucking matter. The most important aspect about lowering a weight under control is to prevent injury and give you good form. Yeah. And the best way to get a good rep, a good positive rep, is to start with having a good negative rep. So if you have a shitty negative, so if I unrack a bar for a squat and I just go down, the come up part's going to be shitty. So start your lift with a good negative, and you're going to have a good positive. So is it an important aspect of the lift? It's half of the exercise. So yes, it's just as important as the concentric. Is it important in the sense of building muscle? Yes, because it's going to ensure good form, and if you do it right, you're going to prevent injury. So I'm with you, Adam. He likes to post a lot of
desired outcome, like you said, man. Yeah, that's really irritating when you're trying to like teach somebody mechanically, like sound, how to go through this exercise, and you're not focused. Like that's a huge focus.
It's the thing. Slow. It's the thing I don't like, and even our good friend Lane is I think guilty of doing this sometimes. It's the lab coats that want to get into a dick measuring contest of whose study is more recent, more new, more accurate, versus the average person who's going to the gym and just wants to make the right decision or be safe or be smart about the way they train. And all we end up doing as authorities in this space is confusing the fuck out of people by shit like this. Because you read all the comments. So what does that mean? I shouldn't worry about this. So I don't need to do this anymore. I can go faster. Like, fuck, man. Like, why do you do that? You're not helping anybody out with a study like that.
Yeah. And speaking of Lane, he's doing a thing right now where he's trying to cut. I think he's trying to lose 5 or 6 kilos, which is like, what is that?
12, eating 13? Gummy bears.
But I'm going to eat up to 50 grams of sugar a day to show
Shame
everybody.
on you, Lane.
But okay, so what? There's a guy that lost weight eating just McDonald's too, and all that. Like, what's?
Yeah, remember Jared? Yeah, he's ate sandwiches all day.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
And I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to show that sugar in the context of a calorie deficit isn't that big of a deal. Which, by the way, here's the thing.
Again, it goes back to my analogy.
Exactly.
It's like drinking. You're drinking a beer in front of an AA meeting.
Yeah,
that's exactly what you're doing by doing that.
Like, look, I'm not an alcoholic.
Exactly. It's like, look at it. You're speaking to a bunch of people that are addicted to food. So that's something that he can argue with me all day long. I'll argue with him all day long on that. Most people are addicted to food. Whether that's chemically or mentally, it doesn't fucking matter. Most people are addicted to food. And you're standing up there and you're eating something like that to show that you can do it. Well, yeah, good for you. You could do that. I could do that too. But I also know that most of my clients don't have that same discipline.
And they also don't eat a lot of sugar in the context of a low-calorie diet. They eat a lot of sugar in the context of a high-calorie diet. Yeah. Right. It's almost never the other way around. Yeah. And if it is the other way around, what you end up finding is malnutrition. I'm pretty sure Lane is definitely eating adequate levels of proteins, carbohydrates, and getting all the nutrients that his body needs. Because when you typically find normally low-calorie, high-sugar diets, it's typically low in protein on top of it, low in essential healthy fats, and low in nutrients. So typically what you find is some guy or girl who just drinks sodas most of the time, and then we'll throw in some crackers, and then that's their calorie. And they eat a little bit, but they also have high sugar. Usually it's a bad situation. Someone like him, he's getting everything else he needs, and he's going to show, I'm also in a deficit and I can eat a lot of sugar. Great job. Most people can't do that. Most people have an issue with that.
Right. Didn't he come after Max over something too?
Oh, that was actually great. He said that. So Max posted something showing how
fasting, right?
Doing activity while fasted increases fat expenditure. And Lane came back and said, it does. However, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's the deficit that makes you lose body fat. And Lane was right. And so Max added an addendum just to be clear. On the results of that study. The thing I love about Max is he's super humble and super he's like, oh yeah, I guess it doesn't look clear. Let me clear that up. He's not a zealot about. Yeah, no, he's very much into interpreting data and then communicating. Is much more of a journalist in that case.
Yeah, context matters, dude, for sure.
This quaz brought to you by Organifi. For those days you fall short on getting your organic veggies or whole food nutrition, Organifi fills the gap with laboratory-tested certified organic superfoods to help give your health and performance the added edge. Try Organifi totally risk-free for 60 days by going to Organifi.com. That's Organifi.com. And use the coupon code MINDPUMP for 20% off at checkout.
All right, our first question is from Coco Fit. What are signs of overtraining?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I get this a lot, actually.
Yeah. What are so I know what my classic signs are. For me, I tend to, and these are common ones too, for I would notice with clients as well.
I think the key is with the list you're about to give right now is that you don't need to have all of them.
Mm-mm.
It could be one, or it could be all.
These are all indicators,
right,
that are leading to it.
Yeah. The first sign is my progress stalls and then starts to go back a little bit. So if I notice that I'm going to the gym and I'm working out and I'm starting to lose my strength or my motivation, I'm starting to lose my drive, maybe lost a rep or two in the lift, I feel like I'm less mobile. I just feel like my performance is dropping, and it's happened now for a few workouts in a row. That's the first and easiest sign. Like I go to the gym and I just know I'm working out. I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not getting a good pump. I feel like I'm getting a little bit weaker. The other one is my sleep. My sleep starts to get impacted, where I start to sleep negatively. And I notice I get this restless type sleep where I'm exhausted. So I go to bed and I fall asleep, but I have this kind of wake up, go back to sleep, wake up, go back to sleep type of sleep throughout the whole night. It's like this restlessness, almost like, and for parents listening, you'll know what I'm talking about. When you have a child that gets overtired and they're just wired, it's almost like that. Like my body it's too much in that sympathetic state. It's too much in that fight or flight state, and I can't fully relax even though I'm totally exhausted. The other sign is my joints start to bother me a little bit. I start to feel stiff, and my muscles feel sore at the insertions. So like if I'm doing a pec exercise, I feel it like, in my armpits, where it feels like if I push too hard, it's going to tear. Or my triceps, I'll feel it in my elbows. Or my quads, I'll feel it in my knees. Those kinds of things. Those are the three big ones for me. And then there's a couple other ones. I've had clients that they'll tell me that they notice that they're cold, that their bodies feel too cold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where and again, it's that fight or flight response, almost like their body, because they're so stressed because of all the training that they're doing, their body's ability to acclimate to temperature seems to be like it's impeded. That's one that I used to get from clients all the time. So I don't know about you guys.
No, I don't have much to contribute. I mean, those are the three that you named are the main ones that I go by when I'm asking somebody questions about how they're feeling and if.
What's the first one that you noticed for you?
For me, joints. So I notice joints first because sometimes I'll still be hitting PRs or getting stronger, but then I'm getting achy.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah,
you could be progressing in strength, but being
So sometimes, and that to me, that's why it's one of the more challenging signs to be aware of because, my ego is enjoying the increases, and I'm like, PR again, this is awesome. But then my bodies are like, oh, but that was a rough one. You know what I'm saying? So achy joints tend to be my first signal. And then the other thing is, and when I know for sure I've gone too far, is the regression in strength. And that's typically, I tend to flirt with that. I tend to ignore the first signal for me, which is the joint feeling. and saying like, oh, it was just a tough workout. I'll feel better. I'll get some massage or, do some cold bath. Like I just start thinking like that and I just keep pushing. And then what ends up happening is sooner or later I get back up under the bar and I'm weaker than I was the week before. And I'm like, shit, I should have known better that I should have pulled back a little bit.
Yeah, I just noticed like I just feel super taxed, where I wake up and I'm like, just not like the motivation's already kind of going down. The strength, I could feel the strength like going to the same amount of weight that I should be able to do, and has been really a struggle now. And for me, like the cold actually that you mentioned is like I do experience that too.
It's like it's almost like when you're too tired, you get cold too.
Yeah, because I'm like I know that I'm fighting through being tired. Like my drive is to sort of override that, and then as I'm doing that, my body's like adjusting to that, and so I get like really cold and just like I'm wired at night, and trying to go to sleep is hard for me.
Yeah, and I also noticed changes in how my body looks, and this is something that I noticed when I was younger, because I would ignore the other signs, because I thought when I was younger, if I can do the workout, then that means I can do it, or I should do it. So for me, it was like, I did the workout. I'm not overtraining. I could push myself through. It's no big deal. And I would just keep pushing, and I would notice that my body would look different. I would start to get this kind of flat look to my body, and I wouldn't look as lean or as solid, almost as if I was losing muscle and maybe putting on some body fat, even though I'm working out more and more and harder and harder.
Well, it's interesting too, because I mean, back when I could do like double days, like I could work, when I was playing football, and I would just like get through. I would be super exhausted, but I'd just fight my way through it. But now it's like I immediately know when I ramp it up and I'm like at a high, volume or high amount that I'm not used to, like my body reacts like really like intensely, like, oh wow, like I get a big response the next day.
Yeah, and it's gotten to the point now, for me at least, where I kind of know, I can feel it. It's a feeling now, like, okay, I need to back off a little bit. Right. This is much harder for new trainees because you have to learn those signals of your body. And it took me a while to get to this point. But now when I work out, I know when I've gone a little too far and then I know when my next workout needs to be a little bit easier. I know when I need to, not always, by the way, I'm not 100% on this because I'm still human and I still get overexcited and my ego likes to take over sometimes. But now I'll go to the gym, and after doing like the first exercise or so, I can tell like this is going to be a workout where I'm going to push it, or this is going to be a workout where I'm going to scale it back. It took me a long time to learn that though. I used to go into the gym with an idea of what I was going to do, and come hell or high water, that's what I was going to fucking do. So even if I went in there and I felt like shit, no, today I'm supposed to do 15 sets of squats. That's what I'm going to do today. And I caused myself to stall my progress way more times than I should have because of that kind of approach. Here's an easy test, by the way. This is a simple test. If you take time off from the gym and you come back and you're stronger, you were probably overtraining. That's a real clear one. I remember the first time that happened to me. I went on vacation with my family and I took off a week or something like that from exercise, and I was so afraid I was going to lose all my gains. Went back to the gym. I was 10 pounds more on every lift. I remember thinking, what the hell? This is really weird. And my buddy, my dad's friend, who was a old school bodybuilder, is like, oh, that means you were probably trained too much. You needed the break. I was like, what? Didn't settle into my brain until years later.
Next question is from Custom Concern 15. How come you guys are always preaching to never train so hard and to always do the minimum amount necessary, yet when you tell stories about how you got to where you are, you definitely were working out more than 3 times a week? If I want to be as jacked and successful as you, don't I need to push the limit?
That's terrible to think that. I did a lot of stupid things. I made a lot of bad investments too. It doesn't mean that you need to go down the same path I did to get here either. You know what I'm saying? So the storytelling and sharing this stuff, I mean, that to me, like that's kind of what, I mean, this is part of the formula of Mind Pump since the very beginning, was to be very transparent with our audience and to not be like the 3 guys standing in their ivory tower and pointing the finger at what everybody else is doing wrong and this is the right way to do it, but more so, hey, we did a lot of these things and we did a lot of things the wrong way, and we've learned because of that. So that doesn't mean just because we share stories in the past of training that way that this is the ideal way. And that also doesn't mean that you can't get to where you're pushing crazy limits like that. I don't share a lot about my programming when I was competing, but I talked about how I started and how it looked very similar to anabolic, but I eventually scaled to something greater than anything that we have on there and the amount of volume. But I don't like sharing that just because a majority of the population is not training at that high of volume. I don't want to send a message to the average listener that going to the gym twice a day is ideal for the average listener. Like the average listener is probably needs to scale way back and work and practice on mechanics and address a lot of things in their body before they start training like this. So just because we've done these things doesn't necessarily mean that you should go down the same path.
Yeah, but the big point that needs to be made here is this. The minimum necessary amount goes up the more fit you become. Okay?
Right.
What the amount of training that a sedentary, deconditioned 45-year-old woman, for example, or man would need to get their body to change is very little. They just need to do a little bit more than they're currently doing. Now, if you're a hardcore athlete and you've been training for years and years consistently, to get your body to change anymore, it's going to take a lot more. Mm-hmm. The minimum effective amount or the minimum effective dose is way more than it would be for the sedentary person.
Yeah.
So if I'm training consistently and I'm training hard and I'm at a certain level, yeah, that's what I need. That's exactly what I need. But that's exactly why you shouldn't follow the routine of a genetically gifted steroid-taking bodybuilder or high-level athlete. They need to do that workout. Like, Olympic lifters who are at that level of competition, they need to lift 5 hours a day. They need to be in the gym 2 or 3 times a day perfecting their skills. Because for them to get any better than they are now, which is extremely good, it's going to take a lot more work. But for you, who are, you're just getting started or whatever, you've only been working out for a few months, it's too much. It's way too much.
I think that is the biggest misconception, because it's not like we're saying like barely do anything. Stay away from intensity. Like we're not saying stay away from intensity. It has to match the right dose.
Scale.
Scale and adaptation. We try and stress the point that you don't want to teeter past adaptation where we're just trying to recover now. So if you figure that out and you figure out that right balance that you want to introduce, the right amount of stress, that's everything. Like why do more when it's just it's not going to propel you forward. You're going to stay where you are or go backwards.
There's videos floating around somewhere on YouTube still. When I first started the Fat to Fit journey, and it's me talking to the camera, and I'm talking about going to the gym for 20 to 30 minutes, lifting the 5 to 10 pound silver weights over in the corner and telling people that this is all I need to do because before this I was pretty damn sedentary and I was eating terrible. So the choices that I was making eating wise, the amount of exercise I was doing was as little changes I needed to make just to start to see change in my body. Now, fast forward 3 years later and I'm standing on a stage with professional bodybuilders. Totally different. I mean, I'm hitting the gym twice in the day on that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we didn't talk a lot about it because most people haven't.
It's not as relatable.
There's not a lot of people that I have met or I've trained as far as clients of mine that can say that they have consistently trained, super consistent for 3 or 4 years straight. I just don't know very many. Most people yo-yo diet, yo-yo train. They go up and down. They're consistent for a few months. They fall off, and those people have no business training the way I was training when I'm competing at the professional level. It's just you don't want to do that. You want to do as little as possible to elicit the most amount of change.
Right, because more than you need, all that does is it compromises or dips into your body's ability to adapt and recover. That's all it does. So I've used this analogy before. I'm going to use it again, okay? We're going to talk about a different system of adaptation of the body. We'll talk about your body's ability to darken its skin in response to the ultraviolet rays from the sun. So your ability to tan is an adaptive process. When you go out in the sun rays hit you. Your body tries to protect itself from the potential damage that the sun rays can cause, and it starts to get darker. Darker skin can withstand more sunlight. Okay, so let's pretend now you've been in your mom's basement for 3 years and you haven't gone outside at all. Now you go outside, you're pale as hell. How much sunlight do you need to start to trigger an adaptation response, to start to trigger a little bit of skin darkening?
Very little.
Not much. And if you go over that, what ends up happening?
You get sunburn.
You get a sunburn, which is
peel and you start all over again.
Which impedes and impairs your body's ability to tan and adapt. Now, let's say you've been working out. You're a roofer. You've been working outside in the summer for years, and you're living in a very sunny state, and your skin is dark. You're very tan all the time. How much sunlight would you need to get even darker? A lot. You would need a lot more sun to get darker. So that's the minimum effective dose for somebody whose skin is already adapted to the sun. So if you're advanced and you've been training a long time, the minimum effective dose to get your body to continue to adapt and change is a lot. It's a lot in comparison to the person who has maybe not ever exercised or hasn't exercised in a long time. So that's why we can talk about this message, but simultaneously talk about the crazy workouts that we've had in the past. Most of the time, sometimes they've been mistakes, like Adam said, but other times it's because the minimum effective dose was a lot.
Well, yeah,
that's where we were.
When I was training that way as a competitor, that wasn't a mistake. That was methodically scaled.
Right.
That was starting 3-4 years previously at barely doing anything, spending 20, 30 minutes in the gym, maybe 3 days a week, to eventually training 7 days a week and doing split routines. I mean, the amount of volume that I was doing at the end of my competing career compared to where I was 3-4 years prior to that was dramatically different.
How many times a week were you hitting body parts, and how many sets were you doing on average? You remember?
So I was hitting every body part 3 times a week.
Okay.
And probably average between 20 and 30. Shit, no more than that. Probably as high as 40 some sets in the week on certain muscles.
For a body part.
Yeah, for certain body parts, especially ones that I was trying to develop, that I was trying to bring up.
So like each workout, let's say it was the shoulders you want to bring up, you were doing like 10, 12 sets each workout. It's like three times that week.
Yeah.
Or more. Yeah. That seems to be right around the limit of volume that I've seen with high level advanced people.
Yeah, and mind you, I'm on anabolics, right? So I'm taking gear in there and stuff to help me recover at a faster rate. But again, even with taking that stuff, I still scale to that point. I would have never, even in the first year, moved to that high of volume. It was progressively adding more volume over the course of multiple years of very consistent training before I'd ever do that. And that's the most I've ever done in my career. So I've been training for 18 plus years now. Never in my life had I ever reached to that volume, because never in my life, even as a personal trainer, had I ever proven to myself that kind of consistency to that level, to where I was day in and day out focused on optimizing my training by nutrition, by sleep, by programming, day over day for 4 years consistently. Never have I done that. And so that's the only reason why I reached that level of volume. And I'm nowhere near that right now. Right now, I couldn't even handle our split program right now. My volume of training is at some of its all-time lowest, and I'm swimming and I'm rowing and I'm doing and mobility and I'm doing a lot of other stuff. And that's kind of where my focus is right now. So if even someone with all of my experience, all of my muscle memory, if I all of a sudden decided, okay, I'm going to get back on stage again, day one would not look like map split or something crazy. Hell no. I wouldn't even start there. I would start at anabolic, and then I would work my way and progress through, even with all my experience.
And the thing that needs to be communicated is you're not going to get there faster by applying more volume and more intensity than what your body requires.
Definitely not. In fact, it's going to shoot yourself in the foot.
You'll progress faster if you do the right amount, which is also the minimum required dose to get your body to change. That's the right amount. And if you consistently apply that right amount, which will change as your body gets more advanced, it'll increase. If you do it the right way, you will notice more consistent, continual change and less plateaus, less of the time where your progress stops and halts.
Next question is from the Doodling Aristocrat. Why are all these Instagram famous lifters acting all high and mighty, hitting PRs, but not being truthful with people about how they are getting where they are? Steroid use is at an all-time high. I think are we reaching a time now where
it's people just need to just tell people now they're on gear. I think we kind of are now, right?
Yeah, be honest.
Yeah. I don't know if we're ever going to get there.
Yeah. But don't you think it'll do you more good now, being honest?
Oh, I think as a talking to an influencer or talking to somebody who is trying to build an Instagram image or a business, and you're using gear, I 100% think it's important or ideal to be transparent to your audience. What
just
you're
from
doing.
A business standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but the reality of it is that's never going to happen. Because nobody gets to see what happens behind closed doors. It's not mandatory to show if drug test you. And if I can claim that I'm doing this all natural, it looks way more impressive. So as long as people can do that, they will. I don't foresee people all of a sudden coming up. Not to mention,
well, I could see like avoiding the questions, right? But like to lie and say that you're not and you're natural, I just don't know if that's the move.
Yeah, I don't know because so here it's different now because when I was younger, it was a bit of a secret. It was still believed that bodybuilders could be natural, pro wrestlers were natural, that athletes were natural. I thought Arnold didn't take steroids. The only people that kind of knew were the ones in those tight circles. So it wasn't really like this widespread thing. Today, it's kind of silly. It's kind of silly to not talk about it, in my opinion. And I almost feel like if you're trying to sell a product or if you're an influencer and you're making money, you're trying to sell something probably, right? Mm-hmm. If your audience thinks you're a liar, they're not going to want to buy anything. If they think you're telling the truth, like if you come out and be like, yeah, I'm on gear, but I also work out hard and I do this and here's the supplements. I almost feel like you'll be more effective. You'll sell more product and be much more of an effective influencer.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that or not. I mean, I'm with you that I think you should, and it's why we do. But I don't think to me, I don't care, and I don't think it matters. And I put this back on the person asking the question is like, it's your responsibility as a consumer to not just go run around and buying whatever just because someone says they do something. Like, do your homework, check. Like, I think that I think that if you buy into somebody who's just because they're hitting PRs or they look a certain way, and that's your gauge on whether you should buy something from them, I think that's a really poor gauge, and you need to work on that. And so I don't really give a shit what everybody else is doing. People lie all the time and will always continue to lie. So I don't think this is going to change. I think it'll continue to be this. I think there'll be continue people that will deceive and make you think that they're doing incredible feats naturally when they're really not. And I don't think it's worth any of our time, including the person asking the question and those that are curious about this, even talking about it, because who cares? Who cares? Like, don't just buy shit from people because of shit like that. If someone is saying, "Oh, I'm hitting PR, so you should buy my program," like and you buy it, well, shame on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I feel.
I will say this though: of all the spaces in sports, the most honest about taking anabolics are the strength sports, because I don't see basketball, football, baseball, MMA. I don't see any of those guys coming out and be like, yeah, I use gear. Here's what I use, but I also train.
It'll ruin their career.
They don't touch it. They don't talk about it, partially because they'll be banned. But I think even when they get out of sports, they don't talk about it.
Well,
because
the interesting thing, too, is that
it's still so frowned upon.
There's a lot of things that fall under performance-enhancing drugs that aren't illegal. Like, we think we go right away to steroids, but isn't there a lot of other things? I mean, isn't caffeine a performance-enhancing drug? Mm-hmm. Isn't creatine a performance-enhancing drug? I mean, how many other things do we do? Isn't using if you're
anything that actually works?
If you're a baseball player, Stephen Curry just got his laser surgery or whatever on his eyes. Like, isn't that performance-enhancing? Mm-hmm. That we do so many things already to the body to give us this competitive edge to be better versions of ourselves. It's like
we've all just decided that some things are wrong,
right?
Some things are right. Like, for example,
why though?
I think part of it is because it's been made illegal. Part of it
they
is
work too well.
Yeah. Well, look, it reminds me of this. Imagine if you're in the dating world, right? And you meet this young lady and you really like her, and you meet the parents, and the parents are like, "What do you do for a living?" You're like, "Oh, I have a vineyard. I make wine." They'll be like, "Oh my God, bring us a bottle." And then when you leave, they'll be like, "I love him. He's so nice. He's a vineyard." Now imagine if we flipped it and I'm like, "Yeah, I grow marijuana for dispensaries." I'm like, "Yeah. That guy is a loser. He's grown." Which is funny because why? Why is one so nice and one so not nice? You know what I'm saying? What's the big deal? The irony is one of them's even safer than the other one.
Yeah, I I got in a discussion with this guy who's like a I don't know what kind of officer he was, but he was a cop who was very much like against drugs and against like marijuana. And I'm like, okay, I listen to this guy. I'm like, but yeah, I mean, he was visibly on steroids. And I'm
really?
like, yeah, I'm like, bro, you're on steroids though. And like he was like appalled that I would like call him out on that.
You literally said that to him?
Yeah. and I'm like, you don't see any like inconsistency, any hypocrisy there? And then he just was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And like from then on, we were not friends.
Yeah, right.
Like he was not okay with me.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Next question is from Damian Blaze Hughes. What is the most embarrassing thing you have witnessed in a gym?
Oh boy.
I think the most embarrassing. I think I shared this a long time ago on the show. This was my Capitol McKee location. So this is early on in my management career. Right, I'd just been a manager for a short while, and it was a Friday night. I got a page to the front desk, and the front desk girl said, "Adam, I have a member that's complaining about somebody in the shower." And I'm like, "Well, what's the deal?" And she goes, "There's somebody in there that is masturbating." And I'm like, "What? Are you kidding me?"
You know what's fucked up about this?
This has happened
You
so many
manage
times.
you manage a gym for longer than 6 months. You are going to encounter some dude that jacks off in the car.
Yeah.
It's inevitable.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Those
Yeah.
fuckers.
So dirty.
So that was probably, and then the fact that him and I believe the account. I can't remember why we had to do this, but because the police officers got involved, everything. It was really embarrassing. The guy was older too, quite a bit older. Hopped up on Viagra, and he's married. Has a wife, and he obviously was in the shower masturbating to other men. So that was a really awkward whole.
Oh, there's a lot of things you need to discuss.
Yeah,
at that
like
point.
cops got involved. Wife came down to come pick him up and
He's
stuff.
all, honey, let me explain.
Yeah,
How?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking of you.
yeah. He's embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. It was just a shit show. So I would have to say that's the first one that comes to mind of like most embarrassing thing that I've ever witnessed. That was really, really embarrassing just to be a part. And I was a pretty new manager. I'm only like at this point in my career, I think I'm 22 years old or so. So
Were you like right there when they were discussing, like when he met with his spouse,
no, we let them kind of talk like
over in the corner?
Yeah, over in the corner by themselves. And you could just, I mean, he was just unbelievably ashamed. You could just see on his face, like, you know, this grown-ass man wanted
The
to
wife
cry.
sho's up. She's
so
like,
awkward.
again? You just got kicked out of
This is
Bally's.
LA Fitness. Come on. You're on a tear.
One of the gyms that I managed, I think it was Sunnyvale, the 24 on Fremont Boulevard. The locker room connects directly to the pool area, and the way the locker rooms work is there's like a separate kind of room area for the bathroom and toilet, and then separate area for the lockers. And I was giving a tour of the gym. So I had a couple with me who's, you know, interested in signing up, and I'm showing them our pool, and hey, well, here's our awesome pool, and it's really nice or whatever. And just an old guy just walks into the pool area naked, just starts looking around. He obviously didn't know that it was a doorway to the pool area. But the best part was that he was standing there confused for like a minute. So he just walked out totally naked, and he's looking around.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, like, huh? Yeah. And I got this couple with me, and they're looking at this dude just standing there with his, you know, with his old dick out, and I'm like, sir, you walked out of the locker room. He's like, oh, sorry. Walked back inside.
So you
Look, a penny.
that reminds me of something that so this happened more than once too, to the almost exact type of story where, so the way 24 Hour Fitness, a lot of their steam and sauna stuff works is you have the men and women's bathrooms that have an exit portion that exits into the pool area. And in the pool area is a pool, a jacuzzi, sauna, and steam.
Yep.
And so I've had guys that they don't even think about it. They go straight from the locker room. They go into the pool area, go into the steam room, and steam rooms are very common to see someone naked in it.
But they don't know it's a common area.
Yeah, they don't know it's a common area for both guys and girls. And so I'll have like a girl come to the front desk and be like, could you please go in the steam room and tell the guy to put some pants on? And I'm like, oh, shit, here we go again. So that's happened actually a lot where I'd have to go in and say, excuse me, sir, this is actually a co-ed steam room.
Dude, I had to kick a guy out of the sauna because he was naked in there with shoes on, which was weird. He actually thought about putting socks and shoes on. He's in there naked. I open the door and I'm like, sir, you need to leave. And he goes, I'm not leaving. So I'm like, wow, I don't know what to do now. Like, what do I do at this point? He's
like your move.
Yeah, he's naked and sweaty, and he's in the corner. And I thought to myself, like, because, at the time, I was young. I was only 20 at the time, or 19. I was just like, first became a manager. It's like one of my first big challenges. And I wanted to assert myself. So I'm thinking, I'm going to fucking wrestle this guy. I'm going to pull his ass out of it. But then I remember thinking, like,
show my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. But then I'm
like Borat, where they're like just running.
You know how you're trying to show your
naked.
staff, you know what I mean? Because I'm a new manager, like, I'll show you, I'll fucking grab. Then I'm like, wait a minute, he's naked. I don't want to wrestle a naked guy.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
And he's sweaty in the sauna. Right. This is going to be a very difficult.
You lose. That situation.
So I close the door and I walk over. I walk over to the front desk and I tell the operations manager, I'm like, I think we're going to have to call the cops. She's like, well, before you call the cops, go tell them. So I'm like, all right. So I go back over there and the door's closed and it's a clear window. And he's standing this time. He's standing and he's looking at me. And I said, I'm going to call the police if you don't get out. And then he just starts peeing.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
No hands or anything. He just starts to pee.
Wow.
So I'm like, this is great.
Asserting his dominance.
Yep. So exactly. Yeah. So I called the police and got him out. He was obviously not all there.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But you can believe my relief in the fact that I did not try to physically remove him after seeing that. I was like, I would have lost that battle.
That's
for
great.
sure.
I don't have any naked stories, but I did have something really embarrassing happen to myself, which I was in.
Which is even better.
Yeah. Like I was in the sales pit and I was just like, doing my thing. And I was looking out at the floor and I was looking out in the distance and I was trying to look at what this guy was doing, like maybe, 50 feet away. So it was like a little further away, but I didn't see in front of him, like almost like right next to me was this lady who was doing like this. It was one of the good girl, bad girl, machine things. And she was wearing spandex and a bigger lady. And so I'm like looking and I'm like trying to see like what this guy was doing, like, in the distance. And then she just gets up and like blocks my view. And I was like, oh. And then she walks into the sales pit and she was like, I see you staring at me.
Whoa. She thought you were staring at her?
And then she was like coming on to me. And she's like, so
like them cheesecakes.
She's like, so what's up? she's
like, you got.
She's like trying to get the digits and everything, and I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, what do you mean? You're looking at me the whole time and like being all like weird, and I didn't know what to do, dude. I froze. I was like, this is awkward. Yeah, it was bad.
No, by far, I've told this story on an old podcast, so I'm sure the old school listeners will know what I'm talking about. But for the new listeners, I'll retell the story because and I think part of me telling the story is my way of getting rid of dealing with the PTSD that comes from telling the story, because it's literally the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my entire life. There's nothing's been more embarrassing than this. So when we'd manage gyms, oftentimes we'd get these promo shirts that they'd give us, and we'd have boxes of free T-shirts, and you could use these for whatever you want, or they'd have some kind of promo like anybody who gets a family add-on, you give them a free T-shirt or whatever. So I used to do stuff all the time. Like, if you come up here and give us 5 referrals, I'll give you a free T-shirt. Anyway, the promo of the month was if you enroll in this membership and you got personal training or something like that, you'll get this free T-shirt. And so there was this really big woman, I don't know, 350 pounds at least, just this big woman who got a tour from one of my sales guys, sits down, he's doing his whole deal. She doesn't want to sign up, or she's being real reluctant. He calls me in for what's called a TO, where I go in and I try and talk to her about what we can do. And I tell her all about the gym and how we're going to do personal trainings and help her this and that. Oh, and you get a free T-shirt. And she's like, okay. So finally she signs up and she's like, I'd like to get my free shirt. I go and search in the box and we ran out of all the XLs. All the extra large shirts are gone. So I go up to her and I say, look, I'm going to get more shirts from headquarters. And so when I do, I'll give it to you and you'll come in the gym and you'll come see me. She's like, okay. So she leaves. Well, this woman came in to the gym, I don't know, every second or third day, not to work out. She didn't come in to work out.
Shirt.
She would come into the front.
I used to have people like this all the time.
In her work clothes.
Yeah.
She wouldn't schedule a session with her trainer. She wouldn't come to work out. She came in to get her fucking shirt. So she'd come to the front desk, and she knew my name at this point. It's Sal here. And I'd walk up there. I don't remember her name, but I was like, oh, hi, Mrs. Johnson. let me go check to see if the shirts. I go in the back, come back. No, they're not here. We only have mediums left. And she'd walk out. So like the 10th time this happened, she comes up to the front. I can see her walking up. I'm like, I even thought about hiding. I'm like, maybe I should just go hide. I'm like, fuck it, I'll deal with it. So I go up to the front. I'm like, hey, listen, they still haven't sent me any more shirts. She's like, check. Go back there and check. Satisfy me. And I'm like, this fucking, it's like the 10th time. So I walk in the back, and I had the box of shirts in my office, and on my desk, I had a computer, and I had the phone, and the phone, you could hit intercom, and you could make announcements to the whole club, which I used to love doing. I used to love hitting intercom and talking about sales and stuff like that to the whole gym. Well, I bumped the phone, didn't realize that I hit intercom, so now the whole fucking gym can hear what I'm saying to myself in the office. So I'm going through the shirts, and I'm pissed off because this is like the 10th time, and I'm like, this fucking lady. Just fuck, man. Won't even work out. Just wants her stupid shirt. It's a fucking shirt. Who cares? I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give her 2 mediums so you can sew them together. And as I'm saying this, I'm talking to myself. And those are exactly what I said. If I'm going to get 2 mediums and sew them together for her. I look up, and my office had windows, right? I look up, and my assistant manager is at my window, and he's doing the cutthroat thing with his hand, like, cut it. And he's pointing up. Yeah. And I look up.
You're live.
I look at the phone. The light is blinking. And I look out into the whole gym, and there's fucking 100 people staring into my office. I fucking hung up the phone, and I sat down under my desk. I went under my desk, and I just chilled there. And I'm like, maybe she'll just go away. Yeah. Maybe she's just going to. Finally, the front desk person knocks on my door. I'm like, come in. She comes in. I'm like, did everybody hear that? And she's like, yeah, everybody heard you. I'm like, did she leave? She's like, no, she's not leaving.
No, she's there. She wants her shirt.
I start walking up, and she's looking at me, and before I could say anything, she's like, just give me my 2 medium shirts and I'll leave. And I'm like, the most embarrassing thing I've ever gone through. Talking about it's making me sweat. Yeah. Can you imagine that shit?
Yeah, no, that's embarrassing.
Terrible.
Yikes.
Look, and with that, go to mindpumpfree.com to download any one of our guides for free. We have a lot of guides on there that teach you how to build your arms, your legs, work on your midsection, increase your squat. I even have a guide on there for personal trainers. If you're trying to become a personal trainer, talk about certifications, which ones you should do, how to start your business, how to build your business. Great stuff, mindpumpfree.com. You can also check us all out on Instagram. You can find our individual pages. Justin is at mindpumpjustin. My page is at mindpumpsal, and Adam is at mindpumpadam.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.